Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you doing? So it's been a while since I've made a video like this. Sometimes I've made videos where it's my thoughts on something and it's just kind of a podcast style, and I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to do this again because I'm going to be launching my podcast very soon. I already mentioned it in the update video, but I'm just currently working on the things in the background, and I'm really excited because there's a lot of things that happen all the time, and I just don't feel like it deserves an entire video, but it would be cool to just talk about things and break it down into segments and whatnot. Now, before I get into this subject about Joe Rogan and Robert Downey Jr., I first wanted to mention this shirt that I'm wearing because I never promote my merch, like, ever, but I have this is like, long story short, I was messing around with Facetune and I just made me look like really stupid, and it kind of came out to be like some type of retarded Thanos. And then so I had this shirt made by Ultra Joe where it says I'm inevitable. So if you want to hit that up, my Teespring link in the description. It's one of my favorite shirts. So I have a lot of other new shirts too, but this one's my favorite, and so I just want to plug that real quick. And so now I want to talk about Joe Rogan, the Joe Rogan Experience. And I always forget how insanely influential and how famous he is, because I've been watching the JRE for so long. I forget that there's a bunch of celebrities that are infinitely more famous than him that enjoy watching him, and they love all the same things that he does. And that's how the Robert Downey Jr. podcast went down, because he was just talking about, man, I love listening to your show, and he was like, it was like an honor to meet him, and I had no idea that Robert Downey Jr. was so into like mixed martial arts, and he's like, I think an expert in Wing Chun, and I'm like, what? And I love that because that's something that I talked about with my friends. We're like, let's get a dummy and let's try to learn this shit and everything. Of course, it didn't go down that way, but this podcast made me have so much more respect. And the funny thing is, when I saw that he was going to be on the show, because Joe announced it like, say, a week ago, saying that he's going to be on to promote Dr. Dolittle. And I just immediately knew, I was like, hell yes, he's going to talk about Tropic Thunder, where Robert Downey Jr. played a guy named Kirk Lazarus, who played a role called Sergeant Lincoln Osiris. And of course, it was Blackface, and it was absolutely hilarious. He did an insanely good job, and I knew that this is going to have to be brought up because one of the reasons is why nowadays it doesn't matter what context it is. Like I made with the Sarah Silverman program or whatever, where she did blackface. It doesn't matter the context. It doesn't matter what you're trying to portray. The fact that you did it is practically a death sentence, and it's pretty interesting that Robert Downey Jr. didn't get that death sentence at all. Like, he seems kind of untouchable. As a matter of fact, Jamie Foxx, he did the JRE a long time ago. I don't really remember. And they talked about it, and he was like, yeah, he praised it pretty much too. So it's pretty interesting. So without further ado, let's just go through the clip. And I love this because it's finally one of those clips that it's not like some negative stuff. It's like, we're going to talk about something that is pretty positive, but it's an interesting and fun clip, so we can kind of just have fun together with it instead of just being all mad. Like, you don't have to leave my video angry. So let's get into it.
When Ben called and said, hey, I'm doing this thing, and I think maybe Sean Penn had passed on it or something like that, possibly wisely. And I thought, yeah, I'll do that, and I'll do that after Iron Man. And then I started thinking, this is a terrible idea. Wait a minute. And then I thought, well, hold on, dude. Get real here. Where is your heart? And my heart is, I get to be black for a summer in my mind. So there's something in it for me.
Is that not one of the greatest sentences ever uttered in history? That's like one of those things that you want to put on your tombstone. I get to be black for a summer. And like, he says these things, and like, knowing the type of climate we're in, obviously he watches JRE, he knows what's up. Guy isn't stupid. And I just love that he says this shit and he means it, and he's not afraid of articles being written about him or whatever. And it probably has to deal with how far he's come. You know, he went through rehab and everything. We know how bad things got for Robert Downey Jr. back in the day. So I think a little bit of cancel culture would completely roll off of him. I think it's one of those things that he would probably think it's so absolutely ridiculous, and he doesn't really need to pay any attention to it.
The other thing is I get to hold up to nature the insane self-involved hypocrisy of artists and what they think they're allowed to do on occasion. Just my opinion.
And that right there is really important because, like I said before in the beginning, it doesn't matter to a lot of these cancel culture people, the progressive ideologues. It doesn't matter what you're trying to portray. Like Sarah Silverman, there was a point to her blackface, just like there's a point to Robert Downey Jr.'s. And his point is to point out the hypocrisy. Just like his character in Tropic Thunder, Kirk Lazarus, is so oblivious. He doesn't think there's anything wrong with what he's doing. He's just playing this role. And then I don't remember the dude's name in the film, but there's that other black dude. He's pissed off and he's checking him the entire way. And that's the point. He's there to show you that, hey, this is really messed up. And so, and I think that maybe one of the reasons also why he doesn't get so much shit for it, because there is that balance. So, you know, it didn't necessarily had to be pointed out, but at the same time, it made it much better. It didn't like say ruin the product, say when you have to explain a joke or something. I think it just made sense because that is something in real life. I mean, if you did see like actual Robert Downey Jr. doing blackface in a role, like completely head to toe, you kind of be like, what the fuck? So I just really love that meta shit, man. I really appreciate it.
It was impossible to not have it be an offensive nightmare of a movie. And 90% of my black friends are like, dude, that was great.
What about the other 10%?
You know, I can't disagree with them, but I know where my heart was.
And see, that's real. And the thing is, most people understand what he was trying to get across. So when he says 90% of my black friends, you know, they thought it was hilarious or whatever. Yes, they understand. You know, they're not stupid. They're not children, which is something that always annoys me, the way that a lot of these, you know, progressive, just complete idiots like to portray minorities or whatever like we're infants and we can't understand. And it's like, dude, I understand what's happening. I understand what this is. I understand that it's comedy. I understand that it's a joke. It's funny. I understand that sometimes you're a little bit on pins and needles. You're like, oh, should I laugh? Like, what if so-and-so finds this offensive? Then I shouldn't find this funny. I'm like, no, you're your own person. Whatever you find funny, find it funny. That's why all the dark humor and all the stuff that we love, a lot of the comedians, the most offensive comedians that have risen to the top because of the current climate. I mean, like, you got to give props to these people and to the people that, and I always say that there's people that are just faking the fake wokeness. A lot of people that are trying to act like they've grown up or they've changed in these past few years when they've had the same sense of humor since they were a little kid. I just think those people are so fucking fake, man. Those people are the most pathetic to me because just be real, you know? Like, I know you're not so fucking offended by all of this shit. You never thought about it before. And now all of a sudden somebody's bringing it up and you're like, oh yeah, you're right. I'm like, no, why are they right? That's not how I feel, or I didn't feel that way. Fuck off.
Yeah.
And I think that it's never an excuse to do something that is out of place and not of its time. But to me, it was just it was a blasting cap on. And by the way, I think White Chicks came out pretty soon after that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love that.
Yeah.
I was like, that was great.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And I like the fact that he name drops White Chicks because it's one of those things that nobody ever points to as far as that being offensive, because it's totally fine to ridicule and shit on white people. And one thing I have to say is that White Chicks, I liked Terry Crews in White Chicks. Other than that, I think it's a terrible movie. I mean, like, I mean comedic. Obviously, it's not a fucking Scorsese film. But what I mean as far as like a comedic film, like one of those dumb comedies, I don't get it. I don't think it's funny the way that a lot of people say. Like, I think it's really unnerving. I think the Wayans bros look like aliens and they freak me out. But hey, Terry Crews is amazing in whatever he touches.
I don't think you could do blackface anymore. I mean, we almost lost the Prime Minister of Canada because he did brownface. He pretended to be Saudi Arabian, right?
Yeah.
He did Arabian Nights in high school or something like that.
You are correct, Joe Rogan. But here's the thing. He did do the Arabian Nights, but he also went full-blown blackface. I mean, head to toe. He even stuffed, like this guy was committed. And hey, don't get me wrong, I thought it was absolutely hilarious because, it's a sign of the times. I know nowadays it would be completely distasteful to do stuff like that, but I think there's certain people that can get away with it. There's certain people that it's like, oh, this person certainly doesn't give a fuck, so who cares? It's kind of like old people. A lot of old people grew up in that back of the day where a lot of things were really offensive, and so they still say some really messed up stuff. And then so a lot of people kind of just dismiss it like, oh, you're old and you're from this era, whatever. And I think there's certain people that exist today that would be able to get away with blackface, like say Joey Diaz. I imagine someone like Joey Diaz would be able to get away with it, but he's one of the very few people, So I think they're right about like that was probably the last time, unless things change. It can take a long time, but things can, things do circle around like all the time, right? There's like things are really cyclical, but damn, who knows how long it'll take before 20 years before things become like all this fake wokeness is gone. I can't wait for that shit though.
Well, you want me to wear blackface? Sure, I'll wear blackface. All you gotta do is give me some edibles, maybe a bong hit, and then break me off a piece of that monkey.
It might be the last time we'll ever see a studio take a chance on a guy wearing blackface and the prolific use of the word retard. Those are two things.
And by the way, that's Ben. The funny thing too was all the heat got deflected to Ben and Simple Jack.
Yeah,
that's what people were pissed off about, and I go, "Woo, great."
Oh, and I believe it. I believe that Ben Stiller got most of the shit because of retard. I 100% believe that. Because here's the interesting thing. Things of blackface in real life never really comes up. I never really had a conversation with somebody and that subject has come up, or I've never seen somebody dressed like that in person. All that stuff. It's usually just with Hollywood and, acting and all that stuff. Now, the R word, this has come up. And here's the thing. I remember there was the dating app Bumble. This was probably like 2 years ago. I matched with this one girl. She was from the UK, but moved to Texas. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then she moved to Cali. And I was like, sweet, we should definitely hang out sometime. And I remember we were texting. And I said something like, I need to, I forgot to renew my medical insurance or something because I'm retarded. And then she said something along the lines of everything I said. She was like, I don't really like that word, but I said a lot of things. In my sentence. And I knew what she was getting to, but I just wanted to please say it isn't so. And so I was like, well, what word are you talking about? And then she was like, well, it's not this one. It's not that. So, breaking it down to where it was retarded. And I just deleted her number after that. Because I'm like, okay, obviously we're not right for each other. Obviously we're not going to get along because I say the worst shit all the time, and all she's going to do is lose her mind. And if she had that much of a problem with me saying that, I was like, nope, we're good.
Ta-ta there, retard.
Did you have anybody that was telling you not to do it? Were there a bunch of agents or anyone who was like...
My mother was horrified.
Really?
Bobby, I'm telling you, I have a bad feeling about this. I was like, yeah, me too, Mom.
I don't know. I just have visions of Bobby Sr., Robert Downey Jr.'s dad. Maybe sometime... He dressed up in blackface and he got his ass whooped. I'm just envisioning that something happened, and then so his mom's like, Bobby, don't do it. these strong black men are gonna whoop your ass. I don't know why she would talk like that. She's like, damn. She's like, damn, fam. These niggas don't play. You know, I really thought I couldn't like Robert Downey Jr. any more than I already did. But yeah, like after watching his podcast in JRE, I'm just like, wow, this guy is too charismatic. And it totally makes sense how he carried the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And really, like, I really did enjoy him as Iron Man. I mean, Iron Man's someone that I just never really cared about too much. I watched the animated series a little bit, and I was like, who's this Mexican guy? I mean, he just looked like it. He looked like some dudes that I grew up with. And, yeah, and you know, like, then Iron Man was kind of cool. Marvel vs. Capcom. I loved his huge photon cannon. Like, so that was pretty badass. Other than that, didn't really care. Then this just made him like, you know, I think Iron Man's pretty cool now. And I've always thought War Machine was better, not just because he's black, but I mean, the stuff that he has is just infinitely cooler. I mean, all that just missiles and artillery and all that shit. But yeah, I really enjoy this. I hope you guys enjoyed this too, because and I implore you to watch the entire podcast. Or listen to it. It's a joy. Really great guy. But that's it. That's all I wanted to do. This thing has gone on long enough. I hope you enjoyed this. I appreciate y'all very much. Regular scheduled videos and whatnot are going to be coming out very soon. This is kind of like a little one-off thing that I wanted to try out and test the waters. But thank you guys so much. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.